Good morning. Are you able to see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. In the last class, we were discussing about the partition approach of clustering. It is a type of clustering. It tries to follow a certain method, right? So we are trying to group considering top-down approach in that. So clustering approaches can have top-down or bottom-up, as we were discussing. A top-down approach will start with a kind of distribution of samples. Suppose if you have like this, you consider whole space, say xy space, sample space as initially having various samples, right? As a group, a cluster. You will be partitioning this in this case. Say k number of partition or k number of clusters. If you are looking for certain number of clusters, that you can refer it as k here. Say if you are looking for k is equal to that many number of partition you can do. The whole space can be divided into that many regions. So this top-down approach is also referred as divisive approach. A partition method. Because you're dividing the whole region into k number of regions. So you can later divide in various hierarchy. The group can be divided into subgroups, into minor subgroups, so on, until you get number of groups which you are looking for. Okay. This is called top-down approach. As such here, if you refer to the tree diagram, you'll be going from the top of the tree and you'll be branching to subgroups. And finally, you'll be landing in a subgroup which has only single sample. This kind of grouping may happen here. So you're moving in this direction. Maybe directly you can choose k is equal to or k is equal to 3. That is an option. Directly you can choose so that you can read the number of clusters you will be preferring, maybe comparatively quicker than bottom-up approach. So in the last class, we were discussing about Foggy's algorithm. Today we'll take up one more algorithm of similar type. It is referred as k-means algorithm. It has two pass-through data. First one, begin with the k clusters, each consisting of one of the first k samples. For each of the remaining n minus k samples, find the centroid nearest it. Put the samples in the cluster identified with the nearest centroid. After each sample is assigned, recompute the centroid of altered cluster. So this is the first pass through data. So suppose you have n data, what you need to do as a first step? If there are n samples, you begin with required number of or desired number of clusters. So you need to consider some seed point here also. Okay. They have not written here, but it is essentially expected to begin with seed points or initial centroids of the clusters by randomly choosing some of the samples, like in the Foggy's method. So if you are looking for k clusters, you choose k seed point as centroids and you begin your clustering procedure. Suppose you are looking for 2 clusters, you start with randomly chosen 2 samples from the given samples. If you want to have 3 clusters, you choose 3 random samples. I think it is very clear. So with that, you can start k number of sample, you can start your algorithm. What about the next? The rest of the n minus k samples now you have to group such a way that you have to check each sample whether it is close to one of the centroid or not, or one of the beginning centroid, right? That you are checking whether it is close to one of the centroid or not. What you are trying to make during the algorithm is you will be checking whether it is close to what is the possibility of grouping it to nearest group. What is the similarity of that sample with a group which you are looking for, because you started with 2 samples believing that they may be the centroid of your 2 clusters which you have planned when k is equal to 2. When k is equal to, your plan is to have 2 clusters. So you're choosing randomly 2 centroids. So what it means is you will be trying to build your cluster around this. Right? So with that intention, you choose some seed point. With that seed point, nothing but some random sample which are chosen. That is the center you are trying to build your clusters. But it may not be the actual centroid of that group, but you will be randomly starting as an initial point. The algorithm is trying to find out later the actual centroid of the cluster, right? That is how the algorithm is built. So now you are starting with the random seed point as a centroid. And what about when you take among the n sample, n may be 5 sometime or 10, right? So among the 5, if 2 are taken for seed point or say centroid, initial centroid, the rest, that means 3 more samples, n minus k sample referred to that 5 minus 2 samples, that is rest of the 3 samples that you need to group considering the centroid. Suppose there is a point here, other 3 point. You have to check whether it may be close to this or close to this. If you find this point is close to centroid 1, say, then you will be grouping this with this. So when you are grouping with the closest centroid or nearest centroid, immediately after that, after each sample is assigned, recompute centroid of the altered cluster. When you add one sample to the centroid, you understand that that cluster is altered. So you believe that initially this is the centroid and you will consider these are the clusters. And you are trying to build a new cluster now, or actual clusters here in the space. So by taking a sample, checking that whether it is close to this cluster or this cluster, you may think that this sample is close to cluster having centroid 1. So in that case, you try to merge it with this cluster. Now what happens is the cluster is modified. Now we have to recompute the centroids of the clusters immediately. Immediately when you add, the cluster changed, so centroid also expected to change. So immediately you update now centroid. Okay, as per the k-means method, every time when you add a sample to the cluster, immediately you update the centroid. So maybe taking average of these two, finding mean, your centroid may come somewhere here. Initially it was here, along with the overlapping with the first sample, which is chosen here. Now the centroid may shift. You may observe that the centroid is shifting here when you're growing the cluster. Okay, fine, you repeat the procedure. Take one more sample. You may find this is close to this cluster. So you merge these two. Immediately the centroid initially was along with the seed point or the sample taken will move now to here. Cluster is changing. Once again, there is one more left point that you check whether it is close to first group or second group. If it is close to this, for example, you consider that along with this cluster. Immediately the centroid recomputed and that may move maybe somewhere here. It is updated, centroid once again updated. So finally you will land with the two clusters here in a space. If you have started with k is equal to, you will land with two clusters. Similar points or similar patterns will be put together in the cluster using this concept. Is it over? No, first pass through data is over now. Okay, first is over. There is second step. Once you complete this adding all samples and recomputing the centroid, the first step is complete. Then you can go to the second step. The second step indicates that, or it is giving instruction that go through the data second time. That means see all the data and check. For each sample, find centroid nearest it. That means you have to now consider step number 1. Finally, you will be computing the centroid that you freeze it now. C1 and C2, you can freeze it now in the first step. The centroids are considered to be now estimated for the clusters. Okay. Now what you need to do is only regrouping with respect to the centroid estimated in step 1. That is what you are doing in the step 2. So for the centroid which is calculated, now you check whether all sample are close to this, all 5 sample, whether it is close to this or close to this, and reorganize all the samples. Sometime what happens, some of the sample you found in step number 1 here may move here. Okay, it may happen. Okay, it's not necessary, but it may happen. Reorganize the cluster as per the latest or the centroid calculated at end of the first step. As per that, you reorganize. For each sample, find centroid nearest it and put the sample in the cluster identified with the nearest centroid. During this step, once again, don't update your centroid. That is what they are telling. You are not changing the centroid value here. Centroid is freezed or fixed. This is what recommended k-means method. The standard k-means method recommended steps are this. Any clarification with the steps? It's a very important algorithm available as a function in various tools, generally used for many applications. Okay, the same example what we were discussing earlier, 5 sample example. If you consider here, which are the 5 sample? I think by the time you may be very familiar with the samples we took in different examples. Can anyone tell me what are the samples? What we considered? X, Y. Samples. 4, 4, 8, 4, 15, 8, 24, 4, 24, 4, right? Yeah, 24, 12. Not essentially need to be taken same example, but just for simplicity, I am just following their example. So these are the 5 points given in the given example. There is a sample space. You have 5 points like this, somewhere like this. Now, what is the first step? If you want to do two groups, you start with k is equal to 2. If you want to make 3 groups here, because very less samples, obviously, may not be required. If there are higher number of sample when you're working, if required, anyway, 5 sample, if you want to make 3 group also, you can take with k is equal to 3. Nothing wrong. I'm just taking k is equal to as per the example. So when you start with k is equal to, randomly you can choose among the 5 sample, any 2 as a seed point as per the first step. I'll be going with the first step, choosing k is equal to 2. Okay. Step 1, or pass 1, pass through data is 1. In that, seed points chosen may be anything, but I will go with their seed point, whatever chosen here in the given example. So I think they have chosen 2 samples, which are 8, 4 and 24, 4. I'll choose the same sample as seed point. So with which you start building your cluster. Maybe one is here, one is maybe here, somewhere here. Okay. This is the other one. 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, 5. Some samples are distributed here. Okay, what is the next step? You have to take each sample, n minus k sample. That means 4, 4, 15, 8 and 24, 12 are the rest of the sample. Now you have to check rest of the sample whether it is close to one of the centroid or not, or what is the nearest centroid. So when I take next sample as 4, 4, I have to check whether it is close to this centroid or this centroid. Calculate some distance, Euclidean or city block distance, and you may find it is close to this. Then what you can do is immediately you can group that 4, 4 with this cluster having that sample. When you consider this sample as centroid, even you consider that the sample with that also associated with that. So it is part of the cluster. That is what you assume. So when you take a sample 4, 4, now you'll be trying to group it, checking the nearest centroid. So this is nearest to this cluster, having sample 8, 4. So having sample 8, 4 and 4, 4 now can be merged or can be combined. Right? So in the first step now you have changed the cluster. One of the cluster is changed now. But immediately I have to update my centroid. My original centroid was 8, 4, 24, 4. Now the centroid is updated here. 4 plus 8, that is a 6 mean value. 4 plus 4 is 4. So this is a new updated centroid. Centroid pair is this. These are the centroids. These are the 2 clusters. Now I take next one more point, maybe 15, 8. What they have taken, the same point I will take. Okay, 15.8 if you take, it is close to, I think they started with 15.8. I started with 4.4. Anyway, there is a small change. Whatever it is. Now I am taking 15.8. When I take 15.8, there is a small change with which our starting of theirs is with the sample 15.8. Okay. You may find a small difference in our start. Yeah. So 15.8 point now you consider whether it is close to this centroid or this centroid. So it is close to which centroid now? Can you estimate and tell city block distance between 15.8 and 6.4, 15.8 and 24.4. So any one of you, can you tell me which is close to which centroid? (15 minus 6 plus 8 minus 4 is one distance. When you're estimating city block distance between this, sample distance is 9 plus 4. The distance from 15.8 to here is 9 plus 4 once again, right? This is also 13. Are you getting same? Hello.
Yes, sir.
You're getting same.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So in that case, the first one considered can be taken. Okay. This you can neglect. You can go for this. Anyone you can consider. Nothing wrong in considering anyone. Let us take this and let us merge. Okay. So 15.8 is now considered as part of the first cluster now. You can merge with this. So the set is now 4.4, 8.4, maybe 15.8. The other cluster has 24.4. So once you add one of the sample to one of the cluster changes. Immediately update your centroid. Updated centroid you have to find. So what is updated centroid of this? Which is 4 plus 8 plus 15 by 3. How much it is? And 4 plus 4 plus 8 by 3 here. So this is the centroids. And other centroid is same. It is not changing. So what is this value? 12 plus 15 by 3.
Sir, 9, 5.33.
How much? Can you repeat it? I could not hear.
So 9, 5.33.
Okay. This value is 9, 5.33. Okay, let us take this centroid as 9, 5.33. Or just 5.3 you can take. Now these are the two clusters. These are the two centroids, updated centroids. Now there is one more point left out, that is 24. 24. What is the other sample? 24.12. That is pending. Now with this sample, now I have to recheck whether it is close to which centroid. Checking with the centroid, you will be grouping every time. Update the group, and immediately when you are updating, update the centroid until you complete grouping of all samples. All n minus k samples you have to add with the clusters. That is the procedure here. Now what is the closest centroid when you check? 24.12 may be close to 24.4, right? This is close to this centroid. The sample 24.12 is close to 24.4, That is the centroid, right? So what we'll do now, update the clusters. The cluster updated may be 4, 4, 8, 4, 15, 8. And the other cluster is 24, 4 and 24, 12. Now I updated the clusters with all samples. Yes, finally you calculate what is the centroid of these two. That is nothing but how much it is now? Same, right? 9.9, 5.3. There is no change. But the second centroid of the cluster is changed now. If you have observed here, it is 24, updated centroid. Uh, 16, 8, right? Correct, no? 24, 8, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now you can see that these are the updated centroid at the end of the first pass. Okay. Passing through all set of samples, now you found your centroid of the whole sample space for k is equal to 2 problem, right? Or for making two groups or two clusters. So now your centroids are found after passing through first pass. Okay. So this you can keep it constant here onwards as per the procedure, and you can go to second step. So now the centroid on the space you can mark it if you want. Somewhere 9, 5.6. I'll mark it with the dot, circle dot, with the filled circle, right? Something like. And one more is 24, 8, maybe somewhere here. So these are the centroids. Now we can, in the second pass, say passing through data second time, what you have to do is you have to regroup based on these new centroids. So you can make a table if you want. So all the sample you take and you can make a table distance to centroid 9, 5.3, distance centroid 24, 8. Right? You can check all sample whether it is close to, or you can find the nearest centroid for each sample. I think Euclidean distance is calculated in this table, but we are working with the city block. You can follow city block throughout if you are doing that. But just understand, I'm just telling here 8,4 is close to 9, 5.3 centroid because this distance is smaller. Indicate that this is close to this. 8,4 sample is close to 9.53 centroid. Anyway, you calculate from each sample to centroid distance first and tabulate it. And based on that centroid, you can decide the closest centroid, right? The nearest cluster. So if you find here, there is a C1 and C2. This is C1, say, this is C2. If you make one more column, you can just write which is the closest centroid. Here C1, here C2, here C1, C1, C2, right? Now looking into this, you can just try to group them, right? All the centroid C1 identified as C1 is the closest, you can combine. That is what these three and these two. In the second pass, it may move. Sometimes some sample may move from one cluster to another cluster. In this problem, we have only 5 samples and it is not moving. Okay, samples are not changing the clusters. That is okay. Whatever it is there, just write it. Any clarification here? What we did regarding the procedure? is similar to the earlier, but slightly it is different. If you understand what is the difference, I think rest is manageable. Computation is very simple. Anyone has any questions here? So it's very powerful, as I have mentioned, could be even used for segmentation procedures, these clustering algorithms, considering some images having many pixels, right? Certain region has certain tumor or certain region where there will be several pixels, right? The gray level or color of this region may be different than other regions. The pixel feature may be different than neighbors. So once you're talking this image in some feature space, with respect to certain feature, if the feature of this is different than the neighbor, you will be able to make a cluster and you can call it as you can label the cluster as tumor or some object. Maybe there is some other object, you may be able to label it. Okay, whatever it is. It may be an object in certain problem. Okay. Whatever it is, you can label it. It is a tumor or circle in your example. Okay. Let us see some examples later, how to go with the application. Any question how this algorithm is described, how it is applied for calculating the clusters?
So just one thing, for that 15.8 point, the distance was the same, right? So what did you, like, how did you group it? Can you just tell me that?
There is actually first calculated you can consider. There is no such, see, that is what they said in the earlier algorithms. There is no criteria in that case. Anyone you can consider. Okay. You can
Okay.
take any of the distance. We'll consider it as.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Now, there is a question here. Now, you just read and tell me how you can solve this. You may have to find the cluster distances here. Okay. And also you have to find similar clusters, the two area of the problems. So first area of the question, you have to find cluster distance between the given clusters. The clusters given are 3 here. And you understand that these are the features for each sample or pattern or object explained as a point. I think all of you are able to visualize this as a given pattern and a corresponding feature, maybe X and Y, right, for one of the pattern. So this set indicates that it is a cluster now. This is a cluster. This is another cluster. So this is another cluster. So there are labeled clusters are there, A, B, C. The given problem has 3 clusters. You can mark it somewhere. I'm just randomly marking it. There is one cluster somewhere here, and there is some cluster here with 3 samples. And there is one more cluster here somewhere here. I'm not very sure the values. I'm just randomly just plotting it. 2 samples. Okay. Say there is cluster A, cluster B, and say cluster C. This is the given problem, for example, with respect to certain feature. What are these features are not explained in the problem. But in reality, when you're working with this kind of problem, you need to derive these features. In a given problem of ECG, you may have to extract ECG features, for example. In a given problem of certain other chemical analysis, some chemical related parameters, some corresponding some features you need to extract. Right? Suppose in a problem you will be finding whether there is a certain mining problem. The object may be different. Whatever the signal what you get, based on that you will be trying to check whether there is what kind of mineral is there. Bottom of your area, earth, core of the earth, what is residing inside. Based on the signal, using some gadget of electronic devices, you may be able to analyze. Maybe there is a gold or there is some copper, right? So in a given problem, you may acquire some kind of signal or some image as a physical to electrical parameter, right? Later that converted into data, right? So whatever you visualize and extract later, based on that, some feature, right, is given here. What is feature we don't know in this given problem. Okay. It could be related to different problems, different features could be extracted. Maybe in case of heart problem, heart rate may be a feature, right? Yeah, we don't know what exactly it is. Fine. But there is a problem in which some features are extracted for different groups, A, B, C, different classes. And they have already given the clusters here. That is the problem. Now your question is very clear. Find cluster distance. You have to find out distance between clusters. Now I will find the cluster distance here. They have not told any algorithm. There is no mentioning of any kind of certain algorithm. What you'll do in this case? So what you are going to do in this case, you are given 3 cluster and you are asked to calculate cluster distance. Yeah.
So maybe we can find the centroid of each of the cluster and then find the distance using the centroid.
Correct. One thing what you can do is you can find centroids. For each cluster centroid you calculate. Or centroid C, centroid of B, centroid of A. Then find distance between the centroid. Right? That is nothing but cluster distance between A and B. You can indicate as capital D, right? Similarly, cluster distance between the two labeled cluster B and C, nothing but D, BC. Between other two cluster AC. Yeah. So now first task can be done easily. Yeah, you understood that you may have to find out some centroid first. The mean point for a cluster, you can find out that. Once you find out that, you can define distance between them, right? You can just calculate a city block or Euclidean distance. That can be itself is taken as. Or even if you go with the single linkage or complete linkage, also nothing wrong. You can do that. Okay. Already you know how to compute single linkage distance or average linkage. All this cluster distances. That also you can do it. Because nothing is specified here, which cluster distance. Or alternate is easy is find the cluster centroid and find distance between the centroids. That's the easiest procedure here. Okay. That also well accepted. So find the centroids and distance between centroids. So how many cluster distances are seen here? Three. Right? So which are the most similar clusters now? How you decide? It is also very simple.
The clusters that are closest together.
Correct, correct. The smallest distance here estimated among these, which is smallest, that defines the closest two clusters. You find out this, find smallest. Suppose I don't know here which one it is. Suppose DBC, for example, I'm just telling DBC distance between cluster B and C, if it is smaller, you can just go with that as smallest one, and based on that you can say that cluster B and cluster C is most similar. And suppose in the question you are asked to get only two clusters among the three clusters by merging two similar clusters. You can even merge B and C and you can say that the two groups after merging could be A and combining BC. There is one more group, right? This is C, this is B. These two are merging. So that you can give the updated two clusters if required. Such kind of minor changes, all this can be asked. Okay. If you know, there is just playing with the sample space. I think you are able to solve this at least, yeah. Any question if you have in the problem, you can ask. Even there are other distances. Sometime one more distance is there between the point. You may be heard. It is called maximizing the distance. It's called maximum distance. There is one more distance, like city block distance, can be used. Okay. And we have already seen this Euclidean distance and city block distance or absolute difference we call. Okay. Even it is referred as taxi cab distance or Manhattan metric. All these are alternate names. You can just go through that if you want. Otherwise, be aware of the formulas.
Sir?
Yeah.
I have a question, like a basic doubt from like a few classes ago. So in the average linkage algorithm, if you recall, sir, they've given the samples and then there's a table where they've defined the distance between all of the samples when there is only one sample per cluster.
Average linkage algorithm. Yeah. What are
Yeah,
the?
so the formula is 1 by NING in the summation
Correct.
of DAB, right? So my question is, if you have like that DAB is which distance? Like which distance are you using there?
This one you are talking.
Yes.
Summation of.
Yeah, but so say you have a sample 1, 2, and then say 2, 3, right? So
You are taking all the sample in that case. What is the question I understood? See, listen here. Which D you are supposed to consider? That is the question, right?
Yes, sir.
If it is the case, there are multiple Ds. Correct? Say this may be D1, this may be D2, this may be D3, so on. Maybe there are other combinations. Totally 2, 6, 6, right? 6 distances you find D1 to D6 here, right? So you have to find all the distances and you have to add them. That is what the meaning of that summation of distances.
Yes,
Where
sir.
A belongs to this group, B belongs to this group. You have to take only sample distances when you calculate. D should be calculated such a way that A should be belong to this, B belongs to this. We said that A belongs to Ci, B belongs to Cj. Such kind of distances only you calculate and consider. What it refers is if there is a even sample distance, even you can calculate between these. This is also another distance, maybe D7, D8, but don't consider intra-cluster distances. Only consider inter-cluster distances.
Yes, sir. So my doubt was actually when you're finding these distances, it can be any type of distance, right? It can be Euclidean
Yeah,
or
it's not
single.
mentioned. It can be anything. Yeah, it can be a city block. If mentioned as Euclidean, you do it with a Euclidean.
Okay, sir.
You're just asking that small d, right?
Yes, yes. Like the DAB can be any type of distance as
Any
long
type.
as you're summing it.
Correct. If not specified, it is your option to choose.
Okay, sir.
It could be Euclidean, or it could be city block, or it could be maximum distance. There is one more I was just saying now. Okay. So that is there is one more is there. A few more are there in the literature. If you see, there are a few more type of distance, sample distances. Like distance between 2 points are defined in many ways in mathematics. Okay. Any distances can be considered literally. But we are not talking other distances which we have not discussed here. Okay. Surprisingly, I may not ask some new distances here. Okay. So you be aware of these two, Euclidean and city block. That is good enough here. Anyway, similarly, I know that if you want to work out with any of the other distances, you can do it once the concept is known. Okay. So, but in the theory here, in our subject, if you know these two, you can manage.
Yes,
If
sir.
I'm specifying, I will specify either of two. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Very clear the differences between small d and capital D. These are the notations. D is the capital D is the cluster distance. Suppose there is a centroid we are talking here in some problem. In that case, it is the distance between the centroid. This is the capital D. Right? Or it can be in single linkage. One of the smallest distance here itself is the capital D. DSL. That is what we are talking there. One of the small d itself is considered as cluster distance. See, if there is no much specification within the knowledge of yours based on the cluster, this you can try to solve it. Okay, if there is specification, just try to simplify based on the available uh, requirement. Okay.
So right now you said that I just want to clarify capital D subscript SL would just be the minimum distance that you found using single linkage, right? So the small d would be you can find multiple single linkage distances, but whichever is the minimum becomes your
Correct.
capital D.
Correct. Single
Okay.
linkage rule we have defined now. So there is a rule we have defined, right? You have to consider a minimum value. When A belongs to Ci, B belongs to Cj, right? So you may have to consider minimum value of distance. When distance is calculated considering 2 points AB, where A belongs to one of the clusters Ci, B belongs to Cj. The capital D estimated as a single linkage distance between Ci and Cj, right? Correct. This can be considered a single linkage if, suppose, say that there is a small d here. This is the smallest, for example. This itself is considered as DSL, sample distance. That time you will be not talking about centroids in that algorithm. Yeah. Correct.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, some kind of this kind of problems you should be able to do it. That's all. And this already I have given one example. And in case of k-means or some other problem, for different, I have worked out with k is equal to. Similarly, you can work with k is equal to 3 or 4 sometime if required. Okay. Only thing you need to start with a different number of seed point. That you should remember. Sometime even I may give a cluster and I may ask you to divide this into 3 subcluster or 2 subcluster. Suppose if I give a cluster or if I give 2 clusters. I may ask you to partition one of the cluster. It is same as what you have the knowledge you have to apply. Only just to confuse you, 2 clusters are given. And you will be dividing the first cluster here. That's all. The second one you are neglecting in the given problem, right? Suppose the question is to divide first cluster, you just divide that. The question may have 2 set of clusters given, right? First and second cluster. And maybe it's asking that you may have to partition or divide this using k-means, right? With the k is equal to 2 or whatever the specification. Already 2 clusters are there, then what to divide? You don't think about like that. If given clusters already given, say C1, some cluster is given, for example, say this is the one. Say this is the second cluster. Some points are given. And the question may clearly say that subdivide the first one or divide the first one. Then you have to just divide this group. Is it clear? Second one in that case may be neglected. Right? It's nothing but it's possible to divide as we were discussing in the concept. Already one step of division already done by somebody and it's given to you. That is the understanding of the problem. If there are some samples, maybe already one grouping, first level of grouping is done and it may be provided to you, right? In that case, you may have to divide the required cluster as subclusters. So some twisting in the problem, such kind of thing can be easily handled by you once you know the logic of k-means or a similar kind of algorithm, right? Same procedure, nothing difficult. I think it is the same as that. Only thing you need to understand the question there. That's all. These are some possible questions. You can just explore that.
So can you repeat this question? I didn't understand the question at all.
So in some problems, suppose say you are given 2 clusters. So what is this refer to? One cluster. Okay. Similarly, you may be given another cluster. Randomly some features I took. Say 2 clusters are given. And you may be required to add a subcluster of C2, for example. So you may have to divide this, partition this into 2 clusters. Say. So what you will do? So what is this problem is you have already 2 clusters. Cluster 1 and cluster 2. Now you have to find cluster 2 into 2 more clusters. Maybe C3 you may call it as, and other one C4 maybe. C2 is partitioned into C3 and C4. This may be a task, can be questioned, or it may be a task given to you. So what is given, understood? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So there is a class given here, or cluster given here, right? Now you have to partition it. So maybe k is equal to 2 or 3. Or sometimes 3 group means k is equal to 3 you choose. If you want to do 2 groups or 2 subgroups, k is equal to 2 with which you can start and partition this group, cluster 2. So you may be given a question there, just confuse you, one more cluster may be given here. That's all, right? But your task is same as what we did earlier with the k-means or foggies, if not mentioned. If mentioned about apply k-means and do partitioning of C2, then apply k-means. And partition this cluster. Suppose you want to make k is equal to 3 or say 3 clusters. 3 subclusters of this, right? You start with the k is equal to 3. Or choose random 3 sample as seed point, maybe 1, 2, 3. Maybe with very simple calculation, you will end with the 3 groups because only 4 samples are there here. Now it is not a practical problem. Practically, we will have hundreds of samples. Okay. You'll have some group of computation need to be done, right? Here we will generally give 5-6 samples just to finish it quickly. Okay, pen pencil method, otherwise it will take a lot of time. So what you need to do is here you need to divide this as 2 subgroups. That is what intended here as subcluster. Only terminology understanding, rest is same procedure you are doing. K means you are applying here on C2 for getting the subclusters or subspace of that. Suppose this is the C2 space. You are trying to find within C2 what are the 2 spaces for different classes. Maybe this is normal class. This may be abnormal class, class 2. Maybe within class 2, abnormal class, you will be having, say, for example, abnormal 1, abnormal 2, right? Maybe in a cardiac problem, normal, right? Arrhythmia or tachycardia, bradycardia, like this. So what you are trying to do is within that you are trying to explore further more classes. These are nothing but within that few more classes you are exploring. Or sometime initially only you may start with the 3 classes. One may be normal, one may be tachycardia, one may be bradycardia. It depends on how you start with your problem in reality, right? I think any questions, other questions? There are some exercise problems given here. It is very similar what we discussed. Based on that, you can just see that and just go through that. Yeah. Give me 2 minutes. I'll just go to the assignment once and check what's the time I set. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 9:45 I have set. Okay. Is it audible?
Yes, sir. 9:40.
Yes,
9:45. Okay. So in the next class, I will be moving to one more topic, okay, on neural network based some techniques, and later we will take some applications. So what is the motivation to start with the neural network? Any one of you? The key factor that understanding with this neuron that has motivated all people to go work on the fundamental of biological neuron that has motivated us to relook into all these lot of advanced processing units today, right? So when people studied this neuron in detail, biological neuron, so people understood that it does kind of computation, right? Or in otherwise even it is also trying to do some processing. So mimicking this, people thought of modeling it. Yeah, artificial neuron. Brain or nervous system. Say inspired long back, if you go 5 decade or 10 decade back only, the work started on, right? Lot of work started on mimicking the brain, right? So they thought of mimicking the activity of neuron, a biological neuron, attracted many researchers. How neuron activity happens, a neuron, how it is connected to another neuron, or what is this neuron is, right? All this attracted many researchers. What's happening here basically? Any one of you? Okay, just go through and come back. We'll discuss about some basic quickly, and then we'll go to take up some models here. Okay. Why it is interesting, we'll discuss. Anyway, I'm not talking here physiology and other part of much. Quickly, we'll just compare it, a model, biological and artificial, and we'll go with certain artificial models. Okay. So next class, we will take up that. Now, 5 minutes, you can take a break and you can wait for that assignment launch.